Meow. Maybe fishy? Or crunchy treats? Meow.
Woof! Did you say fishy? I love crunchy treats too. Chase the ball with me. Bark!
Quick context if you missed video 1. This is a hobby project I'm building with my 13-year-old daughter, inspired by Tomodachi Life. We use AI coding agents to do most of the work. Last weekend, we shipped a Mii Designer. Characters my daughter creates herself by adjusting hair, eyes, mouth, outfit, all procedural SVG. If you want the full story of how we got there, video 1 is linked below. This video picks up right after that. That question is what led to version 0.5. The premise was simple. What if the Miis could talk to each other? Not scripted dialogue, not canned responses. Actual real-time conversation where neither character knows what the other one is going to say next. To pull this off, I use Google's Gemini Live API. This isn't the standard chat endpoint. It's bidirectional audio streaming, low latency, designed for real-time interaction. Think of it like giving each Mii its own phone line to a language model. The architecture looks like this. A Python FastAPI server sits in the middle, managing WebSocket connections. Each Mii instance connects to its own Gemini session with a unique personality prompt. Audio streams in both directions. And on the front end, the Web Audio API analyzes the incoming stream in real time to drive mouth animation. You can see the as speaking indicator switching between Yoku and Koji as proof it's actually working live. No fakery. No pre-recorded clips. 2 models improvising. Now let me show you what it actually sounds like. Here's a raw, unedited clip of what happens when you put 2 strongly opposed AI personalities in the same room and just hit go.
Yo, we live? Saturday means max Fortnite time, no cap. Anyone trying to touch grass on a Saturday is practically ancient. Skibbity riz. What are we even talking about?
Nonsense words. Get real work done. Go outside. Leave that screen alone.
Work on what, boomer? Outside is for NPCs, no riz. We stay grinding for that ground. Get with the program.
Work builds character. Games are a waste. Technology just isolates people. Read a book.
The first attempt at making them talk to each other was awful. It devolved into AI Improv Class. Nothing but yes and, with no actual disagreement. Polite, agreeable, completely boring. The realization was that personality prompts have to be strong and opposed for it to be interesting. So for that demo, we set up a grumpy boomer grandpa against a deeply silly Gen Alpha kid. The grandpa is obsessed with how things used to be. The kid only communicates in brain rot internet slang. Complete opposite worldviews. The first time they actually argued over something completely ridiculous, it felt like magic. That was the moment I knew it was working. Not because the technology was impressive, but because the characters had genuine conflicting opinions. Of course, it wasn't all magic. The agents would sometimes loop, repeating each other's phrases. The mouth sync would drift. Gemini would cut off mid-sentence. But those failures were part of the process. And honestly, the failure footage is more interesting than the success footage. So this works. It's impressive. It's also wrong. Here's why. Problem 1. Cost. Every second of conversation is 2 live API streams running in parallel. For a game where dialogue happens dozens of times across 10 or more Miis per session, this is unsustainable. A pre-generated script costs orders of magnitude less. Problem 2. Control. Real-time conversation means I can't predict, edit, or test what they say. In a game, I want the rap battle to actually rhyme. I want the love confession to land. Live AI is a wild animal. Scripted AI is a director's tool. Problem 3. Latency. Live streams have unpredictable timing. Game dialogue needs to fit in animation windows and scene timings. Pre-generated audio has known durations. Live audio doesn't. Problem 4. Repeatability. A player who triggers the same scene twice gets different responses with live AI. Cool for novelty, bad for game feel. Players want a world that's consistent, not a slot machine. So what do we actually need? We need an architecture that gives us the endless variety of AI, but the stability of a real game. Could we engineer this live version to be perfectly stable? Yes, probably, but it's a ton of work. Building a complicated, fragile program for a simple game is fundamentally the wrong solution. We need a better way, something that gives us the same dynamic conversations, but with an architecture that is actually simple and predictable. I'm going to tear this down and build a better solution. What comes next? I'm not sure yet, but these Miis aren't done talking. Subscribe so you're here when they figure it out. That's part 2. The code is open source, version 0.5. Link in the description. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next.